Over the years, the most dedicated GTA fans have unearthed some pretty incredible beta and alpha content for GTA 5 by scouring online portfolios of Rockstar employees, digging deep into the game files, and even examining leaks. These fans have uncovered images and details that show a version of GTA 5 far closer to GTA 4 in both art style and design. A massive shout out to GTA expert and Noru122 for some awesome before and after screenshots I've used in today's video. We're going to be also adding a mod in today's video that adds some of these features back. So as we can see here, this is clearly from a time when GTA 5 still hadn't found its feet yet in terms of its art direction. There's even parts of the map that are still missing in this area here, and the colouring looks a lot more dull than GTA 4, but I would also argue that this looks a lot warmer than what we have in the final version, as you can see from this screenshot. There's also this beta screenshot here, which is an advertisement for this 4x4, and you can see the city beta in the background there. I would also argue that the city in this screenshot also looks a bit warmer and just more bright in general. Places like this garage near Grove Street are completely transformed. In the final game it's now red, but also notice how the colour here looks a lot sunnier and warm. But also the palm trees in the final version of the game are now missing, which is a huge shame in my opinion. Looking at these old photos really feels like you're looking at some kind of old school real life photos of places forgotten in time. And while we're on the topic of that, this was also found in the game files, a sign that says Vinewood Land, which is a clear parody to Hollywood Land, which is what the Hollywood sign used to say. This next example here, we can see how there's all sorts of colourful trees dotted in the parking lot here, but in the final game these are completely gone. With mods, we can sort of add these trees back to this area, as you can see here, but those beta trees just look so much nicer in my opinion. Here I am walking around with a mod that allows you to add some of these trees back, but they're just not quite the same models. You've probably noticed the mini-map in the corner is round, similar to GTA 4's map. The game was built using the same engine and building blocks as GTA 4. Then eventually the map was changed to the more recognisable square or rectangular style we can see here. Also, here's a quick look at the beta version of Franklin. You can see how Franklin looks a bit more buff, or maybe slightly chubbier, while Michael's face is a lot more gaunt. And take a look at Lester. He's actually got a ponytail, which is extremely interesting. Some of these next screenshots really show you quite how barren and empty the map really was in its early stages. For example, the wind farm here is completely missing. However, like I said, you're going to notice that all of these shrubs and plants were a lot more prominent in the beta and the alpha versions of the game. Like this very low poly shot here of Vespucci Beach. As you can see, there's tons of trees here not seen in the final game. Or this image here of the stairs at this park. Take a look at how much shrubbery and greenery there is, and here's the final version in GTA 5. So in this screenshot, I think we can see a very early beta version of Michael standing over in the grass. This is a very low quality image of Trevor's trailer out in Sandy Shores, but it is completely different, and the colouring here looks kind of better, I would say, than we got in the final game. The final game almost feels like it's a little bit too bright or a little bit too cartoony, but there is reasons for all of this which we will delve into shortly. As we can see, we also have a screenshot of a park here with plenty of plants and bushes, but when we see the final version, again all of this is missing. This is probably one of the earliest gameplay screenshots there is available of GTA 5. It doesn't even look like the map behind the car has even been added to the game yet. There's no buildings, there's absolutely nothing. Now this one is extremely interesting to me because from what I can gather, half of Mount Chiliad isn't even finished yet, and there isn't even a peak to the mountain either, which is kind of interesting. You can see how this is clearly a very, very early screenshot here. We also have a look at this ammunition here, and take a look at the map down in the bottom left. You can see slightly cleaner, and maybe they were experimenting with how the map should look at this point in time. The storefront is completely different to what we have in the final version of the game. This version looks like more of a small corner shop kind of thing, like a small gun store, but in the final version it's a more branded large store that we ended up getting. Another thing I want to point out in regards to wilderness and wildlife is these screenshots right here. On the left hand side middle screenshot of what I would believe is the golf course here, I don't recognize this at all. There is a ton of bushes and shrubbery. There's nowhere in GTA 5 that quite looks this detailed when it comes to plants and vegetation. For some reason, it all got removed due to hardware limitations. I also want to point out these trees and pictures here. On the right, we know it's taken from GTA 5, but because it's using assets that are so old, it's like eerie. We know it's GTA 5, but it doesn't look like it is. And on the left, I have no clue where that is either, but I think it's really interesting looking at these wilderness screenshots of things that could have been in the game and were at one point, but were all removed due to hardware limitations. We also have some beta vehicles here, which I find interesting. We've got the rusty tractor, but in the background, it's so interesting to look at the desert. I mean, we've got a caravan here that looks like it could be Trevor's trailer, but there's just a barren wasteland of desert with a small mountain in the background, almost like this is like the Salt Flats or something. The same goes for this plane here, the stunt plane. You can see this guy's head is clipping through, but if you look at the mountains, like this is an open desert with nothing in it. Was this going to be added to GTA 5 at some point? Early into development? We don't know. But interestingly enough, this one's from GTA 4. This is a tow truck in GTA 4 with Nico. But interestingly, even more so, is that there is a combine harvester, which never actually made it to the final game. But they had to tune back a lot of things for GTA 5 just to fit the game onto the discs and onto the system. And it's actually incredible, even though they cut all of these things out, the game even runs in the first place on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. There's also these really creepy NPC images we can see, and these are super early. Take a look in the backdrop. The trees are low poly. You can see parts of the map that aren't even rendered in. I would say that some of the aspects of this remind me of LA Noire, and I'm going to explain why. But if you look at some of these player models, they look like they were designed in GTA San Andreas, but it's very fascinating. I believe these were the images for contacts that would be on the phone early on into development. But this one right here in particular, when comparing it with some of the others, the facial features on this are extremely well presented, and I think personally this has something to do with LA Noire, which was being developed before GTA 5 released, but it did have a lot more advanced facial recognition technology, so you can see a lot of the wrinkles in the face there, and it definitely looks a lot better than some of the others that we have. What I find really interesting here is that it looks like this is an enterable food location, which was ultimately removed from the game. It looks like you could go inside of this place and grab a sandwich or some food, and that the ammunition would be located on the top floor. It also says a Vinewood Plaza. Was this potentially a shopping center or a small shopping area we could go inside of? There's also these really creepy blue people that are in the game files as well. I have no idea what this is all about, but if anyone has any idea why these people might be blue and why they decided to take a photo of them, then please let me know. As you can see here, this is one of the artworks that would be on the pause menu. If you look at the van, it's a taco van from GTA 5, and it looks like the park from GTA 5 in the backdrop, but the van says pause on it. And in this next one, we have a billboard on top of some buildings which also says pause. And here, the same goes, which I found kind of intriguing and interesting, that the GTA 5 pause menu nearly had these artworks. I found this video extremely fascinating to research and go through, and I hope you guys did as well. Let me know what you think about these beta screenshots of GTA 5 down in the comments. There are more out there, and maybe we'll do a video in the future. I actually covered all of the removed features in GTA 5 in this video, so if you've enjoyed this one and you're not yet subscribed, go and check that out and make sure you join the channel. Adios.